What's up, party people, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're doing almost a full face of dupes. Not quite a full face, but pretty damn close. So yeah, one side of my face is high-end and one side of my face is drugstore or affordable. I'm gonna help you save a lot of money because the high-end side is worth a whopping $230 and the dupe side is worth $65. So if you guys like videos like this where I test out potential dupes side by side, then make sure you give it a thumbs up to let me know that you want to see more like it. And subscribe to my channel, join my community. I do videos like this, talking about affordable and drugstore makeup all the time. I'm a drugstore makeup fanatic. Also turn your notification bell on so that you never miss an upload from me and so we can always hang out and chill and just talk about makeup. And without further ado, let's test some high-end makeup with some drugstore and let's see if we can find some dupes. Whoa, hello, scary. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, but I did go ahead and do my eye primer and brows off camera just because I don't have dupes to show you guys for those categories. So for eye primer, I use the Revolution Pro Eye Elements Eye Primer in the shade Core. And then for brows, I use the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim Defining Pencil and the L'Oreal Micro Ink Pen. So that's what we got going on up there. So I'm gonna make my right side my high-end side and my left side my dupe side. So for eyeshadow on the high-end side, we have the Anastasia Sultry Palette, which is $45, and it's actually discontinued. So yeah, who doesn't want to find a dupe for a discontinued product? So this was a big palette back in like 2018, and it's a really good formula palette. Like I've had some qualms with Anastasia palettes before, but they actually hit the nail on the head with this one. And this is just really pretty for every day. Like you can create really pretty neutral looks with it. You got a lot of shimmers in here, but they're very everyday appropriate. But also this is a very, very good special occasion palette. I actually had this in my makeup kit. So for the dupe side, I have the Alter Ego Temptress palette, which is $16 and it is still available. But this is literally the most identical dupe to the Sultry palette. They are arranged differently, but I mean, it literally couldn't get closer. I actually do have a coupon code for 10% off with Alter Ego, so I'll link that below wherever I link the palette. So everything I'm talking about today will be linked below, just so you know. So yeah, we're gonna do Anastasia on this side and Alter Ego on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and set my eyeshadow primer down with this matte cream shade in the Sultry palette called Fresh, and I'll probably just bounce back and forth. Like instead of showing you every single shade that I'm using for each side, they're the exact same. So I'll hold up and show you which one I'm using on my Anastasia side, and like I think you'll be able to figure out what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go into the matte cream shade in both palettes and set my eye primer down. Perfect. So now I'm gonna go into my transition shade. So I'm gonna use Birch from the Anastasia palette, and again I'm gonna be using the same shade that's duping it in the Alter Ego palette. Now, I will be using the same brush for each shade just so there's not a change in the tool, but I will be wiping off the excess in between each one. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing is that there is a lot more kick up and debris in the Anastasia palette. Like Anastasia shadows are pretty dusty for the most part, but what I'm noticing about the Alter Ego palette is that there's barely any dust. So now I'm gonna go into Twig in the Sultry palette, which is a cool toned like tan shade. We're gonna go into the same shade. It's actually called Uptown in the Alter Ego palette. Yeah, a lot of kick up in this one. Okay, so again, the exact same shade, but I actually feel like there's an improvement in the formula with the Alter Ego shade. I feel like this side, like the Anastasia shadow, it's fine, like there's nothing wrong with it, but there's kind of an inconsistency in the pigmentation, I guess you could say. So like the more I layered it up, it kind of started getting a little bit patchy, but this side just looks really smooth, and this side looks like the more expensive side. Now we're gonna start smoking things up a little bit. So I'm gonna go into Dystopian in the Sultry palette, which is dark matte brown, and the same shade on the other side for the Alter Ego. Obviously, you guys get the pattern now. All right, so here's the next shade. So yeah, exact same tone, no difference whatsoever. So now I'm gonna go into Teak in the Sultry palette, which is a shimmery metallic bronze. And I really feel like this is where this Anastasia formula shines. I'm gonna wet the brush, by the way. The metallic shimmers in here are so unique, and they're really, really pretty to work with. Really pretty to work with. They're really easy to work with. I actually feel like the Alter Ego one is smoother. I'm not just saying that, like just so you guys know, if like whatever I see, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, I'll point it out. I'm not just hoping for a good outcome. I'm gonna give you guys what I see. I'm gonna give you all my observations, and at this point it seems like the Alter Ego palette's just a little bit higher quality in my opinion. So I want this to be a little more smoky, and I don't like that warmth from the bronze. So I'm gonna go into Ember in the Sultry palette, which is another shimmery bronze, but it's a little bit deeper and it's a little bit more smoky, I guess. This side just looks better. I mean, there's no denying it. It just looks better and less muddy. Now I'm gonna go into the matte blacks for eyeliner. So I'm gonna go into Noir in the Sultry palette. I'm just gonna really smoke out my lash line with these. So those are probably two of the best matte black shadows I've ever used. Like, they're so rich and they really give you that look of a deep matte, like jet black eyeliner look. So before I wipe off my fallout and do my skin prep and all that stuff, let's go ahead and move into my brow bone highlights. I'm just gonna go back to that matte creamy shade that we used to set my eye primer down. I like how bright this shade is though. Like I really like a nice bright brow bone highlight like this. Like this is perfect for me. Like it's right up my alley. So this one, I actually like the Anastasia cream shade better for this. And this is the exact same tone, but I'm having to use more to build it up to the brightness that I want. Now for inner corner highlight, I'm gonna go into Pearl, which is a shimmery champagne white. I'm not gonna wet the brush this time. I'm just gonna put this, well, is that too bright? I'm actually gonna mix that in with a little bit of Steampunk right next door to it, which is just a shimmery gold, just to kind of warm it up a little bit. There we go, a lot better. Okay, so that's it for the eyes. So I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera and do my mascara and do my skin prep, kind of clean up all this fallout. So yeah, I'll come back with a clean face and some lashes, and then we will move on to the face products, which is where I have a lot. Alrighty, we are prepped and ready to go. So moving on to foundation. So I have the infamous Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, and I don't think I've ever talked about this on my channel, and I really don't know why. I don't really use it a lot, I guess. That's the biggest reason. Literally, every person with oily skin like swears by this stuff. And I tried really hard to find a foundation dupe for this that wasn't the Revlon Colorstay foundation, because literally everyone who has ever done a dupe video has compared these two together. We're jumping on the train. As far as the coverage and the wear and just how it sits on the skin, these are the closest that I've found in my collection anyway. So I'm gonna mix the Estee Lauder one in with a white foundation mixer. This doesn't really affect the coverage or finish or anything. It just changes the color. So I'm just gonna do a little customizing here. And that should be good enough. So I don't have any primer on or anything. And I do want to do a wear test, but I don't know if I'm going to do an actual like check-in wear test, or if I just want to like show you the time right now and then put an update in the description box for like how long I wore it today. So yeah, I'm going to go in with my sponge and go ahead and blend out the Estee Lauder. Yeah, here's one layer of the double wear, and as you can see, it pretty much covers up everything. It's not the most opaque coverage right off the bat. I mean, it's very buildable, so you definitely could get full coverage out of it. But with first layer, it isn't super heavy. It's not a super like intense coverage, but it's very skin-like, which is kind of weird because I always thought it would be super heavy, but just based off everyone else's reviews. So now moving into the Revlon Colorstay, I do have more to cover up. I got a little disaster right there. Okay, so here's one layer of each foundation. So yeah, very similar coverage. I can still see that little bump that I had on my cheek area, so it's definitely not full coverage. I'm gonna let these dry for a little bit and I want to see how they set on their own and see how they compare in that way. But I did wear these side by side the other day, and as far as how they looked on my pores, how they held up, everything about each one, these are the closest dupes I've found. And by the way, I forgot to mention that in the Revlon Colorstay foundation, I got the one for combination oily skin. So the one for dry skin isn't as similar to the Estee Lauder one. It's not as full coverage, so just, yeah, I want to make that clear. I'm in the shade 150 Buff. It's a little bit light, but it mostly works. So we'll go ahead and show you what each side looks like before they completely dry. So yeah, the Estee Lauder Double Wear is very smoothing, and it sits on the skin really nicely. And here's a Colorstay. And I can still see that little bump, like even after layering it, like it's not super full coverage like everyone makes it out to be. I mean, it looks like I'm wearing the same thing on both sides. So I do want to go ahead and show you the time, just so whatever I decide to do, we have a time. So it's 1:07 right now. We'll say 1 o'clock for my check-in time. I gotta leave town this evening, so I don't think I'll be able to make it to 8 hours, but we'll do as long as we possibly can. So for high-end concealer, I have the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. I used this a long time ago and didn't really like it just because it's very thick and it's a super hydrating dewy finish. And because of those two factors, it tend to crease. So in my Revolution Pro One Brand review, I tried out the Revolution Pro Ultimate Coverage Crease Proof Concealer, and I talked about how similar it was in consistency and feel, and just even the way it went on. Like, they're both very sticky. This is the IT Cosmetics concealer, so I got the shade Light 10.5. That's all they had. So yeah, kind of peachy. And then here's the Revolution Pro. So yeah, they're both very thick. They're extremely hydrating, and they do have a dewy finish, but yeah, I didn't really have any problems with creasing with the Revolution Pro. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some of the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye over here. But I know the Revolution Pro concealer works a little bit better with the warmth of your finger. So I like to go ahead and like start the blending process with my finger and then go in and blend the majority of it with my sponge. So I'm gonna treat this the same way. And I mean, it does blend out really fast. So does the Revolution one. It is very full coverage, like there's no denying that. Okay, so moving on to the Revolution Pro side. I'm in the shade C1, by the way, and I actually really like this shade. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna tap it on and just let the warmth of my finger kind of warm it up to where it blends out better. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you the time. It is 1:16 right now. Why does it take me so long to do my makeup? This is ridiculous. But yeah, we'll say 1:15 for our concealer time. I actually like the color of this one better, so you may see a difference. I mean, I do see a coverage difference. I will say that. There is more coverage on the Revolution side, but I mean, finish-wise and formula-wise, they're almost identical. I forgot to mention the Bye Bye Under Eye is $27 and the Revolution Concealer is $12. So yeah, less than half the cost. As far as the finishes of the foundations go, they do set to be not even like super matte. Like I've always heard people say they're a matte finish, but I mean, I would say they're kind of like a satin. As you can still see my glows. I actually feel like the Colorstay is just maybe a tad bit more mattifying. So yeah, there's some setting powder, and I'll go back in later and do the lower lash line and whatnot. But yeah, I just set my under eye area, and then anywhere that cheap products won't be touching. So like under here, my T-zone, a little bit on my forehead. Yeah, so you get it. So for bronzer, I have what I feel like is a perfect dupe for the Becca Sunlit Bronzer in the shade Capri Coast. So this is $38. It's just a really pretty satin finish bronzer. It's not completely matte. It just gives you a very realistic, like natural looking tan. It's so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch this right here. And the potential dupe that I have for it, and I haven't tested these side by side, I've just swatched these, but the Believe Beauty in the Tropics bronzing powder in the shade Havana Sunset, which I love this formula, looks to be literally an exact tonal match, an exact finish match. Like they both have like a gold satiny finish to them. Yeah, we're gonna do the Becca on this side. So yeah, there's Capri Coast, and it just gives you such a pretty bronzy look, and it blends out really easily. It's pigmented, but it's really soft, so you can build it up. It doesn't start off too intense. By the way, the Believe Beauty one is $5 at Dollar General, so super good steal, and I've been loving this bronzer. It's been one of my favorite bronzers recently. As far as the tone, the finish, the way they blend out, the pigmentation, they look identical. So yeah, super excited about that one. I think that's a success. So moving on to blush. So for my high-end side, I have the MAC Mineralized Blush in the shade Petal Power, which is so underrated. No one talks about these mineralized blushes and this shade in particular. This is NARS Orgasm on steroids. Like in my opinion, this is way better than Orgasm. So if you didn't want to apply a highlighter, you definitely wouldn't have to. Like it has a really pretty iridescence to it. So I actually have two different dupes. I have one that's $1 and I have one that's like $9. So my higher priced one is the Milani Baked Blush in the shade Bella Bellini. Side by side, this one looks a bit more pink, but I feel like on the skin, they'll probably look the exact same. So yeah, the MAC blushes are $30 and the Milani is about $7, depending on where you find it. But yeah, I've always felt like where they're both baked, like they're a very similar formula. Like they're very sheer. When you feel them, like, I don't know, they're pigmented, but they feel very thin, I guess you could say. For my cheapest dupe, this is $1. So this is the AOA Studio Wonder Baked Highlighter in the shade Fresa. This one just isn't as smooth, and obviously, you know, it's cheaper quality, but, I mean, the exact same kind of thing. So let's do Fresa over here. So it just looks like a bunch of NARS Orgasms up here. Like, this is ridiculous. Let's use the AOA Studio one just to make this as cheap as possible. And it's a little bit darker than the Milani, so it might be a little bit closer. So we're gonna do MAC over here. So yeah, very, very pretty color, and it's very buildable. So if you want to apply a light amount, you could just do a sheer wash of color, but you can really build it up and customize the intensity. So yeah, here's what the MAC one looks like. And yeah, it just looks so pretty and fresh and juicy on the skin. So yeah, wiping off my brush. I'll go into the AOA Studio one. And yeah, this one definitely isn't as soft as a MAC one. Like, it actually did kind of get hard paint a little bit because I haven't used it in a while. So I just like took my finger and rubbed off the surface and it made it a lot softer again. So gonna go over here and do the same thing. Okay, so there's the AOA Studio. And I honestly didn't expect them to be as similar as what they are. Like, they're the exact same. Like, I was expecting this one to be a little bit lighter and have to build it up a little bit more, but I only dipped in once and got the exact same intensity as the MAC side. So I'm deeming these dupes. And then for highlighters, so I actually have another discontinued product, which again, we all love that. So I have the Anastasia Amrezy highlighter, which was $28, but like looking at it in the pan, it's so beautiful. And this is one of those shades that again will work for pretty much every skin tone. It's not super frosty or shimmery. Like, it's actually really pretty, like wet, glowy looking highlighter, but on my skin, for whatever reason, it just looks kind of dry. So there's what it looks like on my hand, but so many people love this, and like on my hand, it looks phenomenal. Like, it just looks so glowy and metallic and wet. So this is the new Revlon Skin Lights Prismatic Highlighter in the shade Daybreak Glimmer. Look at this. I don't know if you can get any closer than that, and I haven't seen anyone like compare these or anything, so I'm just going on a whim. I mean, that's kind of what I do with the majority of the stuff that I compare. So I did wear, here's the Revlon one. So I did wear this one yesterday, and I pretty much had the exact same experience as I do with the Amrezy highlighter, where it's not super shimmery or frosty. Like, it's a really pretty wet glow, but for some reason it emphasizes my stuff. But as far as the tones and the finishes go, I honestly don't feel like you could get any closer than this. Let's do Amrezy on this side. I'm gonna wipe off the excess with my brush and do the same thing on the other side. They're so exact, it's not even funny. But I will say, and I'm not just saying this, and it could be the foundation, it could be the base. This side looks a little less pory, a little less porridgey. So I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera and do my lip liner and finish up my lower lash line just so I look more complete. And I'll probably go ahead and do a setting spray as well because I always do setting sprays. So yeah, I'll come back and I actually have a lip gloss dupe. So I'm gonna go do my lower lash line and my lip liner and setting spray, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back, and we just decided to go full on take me out tonight clubbing Barbie today. I don't know, it just kind of happened. The last dupe I have is a potential dupe for the very, very popular Fenty Gloss Bomb. This is in the shade Fenty Glow, and this is one of the most popular lip glosses on the market. And I gotta be honest, I don't really see all the hype in it because, I mean, like, everyone talks about how juicy it is and it's just the best gloss, but honestly, it's just a gloss. It's just like a rosy kind of shade. Like it's more on the sheer side, so like it's not full on color or anything. Like it's not full on opacity. I found a pretty close color dupe, not necessarily a formula dupe, but they wear very similarly. I actually wore one on each lip one day and they wore the exact same amount of time. So this is the Milani Keep It Full Nourishing Lip Plumper in the shade Rosy Bronze. So yeah, the Fenty one is $19, the Milani is $9. So yeah, the Milani one is a plumping formula, so it does have that more like cooling, tingling, like minty kind of feel. We'll do the Fenty one on this side, and I didn't put lipstick on just because I wanted you guys to see the true colors. So yeah, there's a Fenty side. Yeah, really juicy and glossy, but I mean, I feel like most glosses are. We're gonna do the Milani on this side. I mean, from one side to the other, you really can't tell a difference in the color. I will say there definitely is a very big difference in the smell of these. The Fenty one smells very sweet. The Milani ones, and I've talked about this before, they smell very herby. Like they smell like a cooking spice, which is really off-putting, and it's pretty potent. I mean, it doesn't linger on through the entire length of time that you have it on, but both of them last about 2.5 to 3 hours on me without touching up, and that's with the lipstick underneath. Well, actually that's by themselves too. I tested it one time with a lipstick underneath and then one time just by themselves and a lip liner. Both times they lasted about 2.5 to 3 hours. Okay, I have to be really quiet. I told you guys I wanted to do a wear test check-in. I'm doing it on my phone, so I'm not sure how good the audio is going to be. It's probably going to suck, but you're at least getting to see stuff a little bit. So it is now 9:55 p.m. It's almost 10 o'clock, and our check-in time was 1 and 1:15. So yeah, 9-hour wear test. But the foundations held up literally the exact same way on both sides. Like there's no creasing, settling, greasiness. The cheek products held up the exact same way on top. Like everything held up extremely well. So here's the Revlon side. As you can see, everything's still intact. And then the double wear side. And I actually feel like both of these foundations are ones that are better by the, like at the end of the day. Like they actually look better once your oils and stuff kind of start meshing with them and kind of marrying with the foundation. I'm shocked to say that the concealers held up very, very well. Like I said, the Revolution concealer, you know, with the other times I've worn it, it hasn't really creased or anything, which has been pretty shocking to me. But even the Bye Bye Under Eye, it didn't crease or anything. Like both of them are still intact. No creasing, settling, dryness, cakiness, powderiness. As far as the eyeshadows go, they both still look good. I mean, I feel like eye primer has something to do with that, but I will say I do feel like the Alter Ego side held up just a tad bit better, but I mean, I think it just started out better, so it's not really like it wore better necessarily, but I do feel like these shadows, like especially the shimmers, just like the shimmer just looks, I don't know, more vibrant than the shimmer on the sultry side. I'm out of breath. I stand with calling these dupes. Yeah, pretty happy. So yeah, that is it for this dupes video. I feel like this was very, very successful. I really pride myself on dupes, and I'm very, very picky to call something a dupe. Like, it can't be just super similar. Like, it's got to be damn near exact for me to call something a dupe. And there's a lot of things I've tried that other people have deemed dupes, and I'm just like, do you not have any standards at all? Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully it helps save you some money. That's the best part of these dupe videos. I love making dupe videos. So if you guys like them, if you want to see more, then make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one.